In Australia, over 5 million tonnes of food end up as landfill, enough to fill 9,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And around 80% of food waste is being chucked out, simply because it wasn't sold.
I just think it's mad that we have such food waste in Australia. We're one of the the richest OECD countries in the world, and we're wasting $30 billion worth of food every year, while 4 billion of our own residents are suffering food insecurity.
The annual 2018 Food Bank report stated that the largest demographic of people experiencing food insecurity are single-parent households, with 2 in 5 families suffering every year.
I met a lovely Afghan woman not long ago who told me that she was really grateful when her children, who were very young when she came to Australia, she was very grateful when they started to learn English because it meant that they could tell her the difference between the salt and the sugar at the supermarket. And that's always stuck with me.
However, in 2018, people are beginning to combat food waste with new innovations. Ywaste, an app founded by Donnie Chen, helps users locate local businesses that sell excess food at the end of the day for discounted prices.
So Ywaste for me is not just a business, it's not just a social enterprise, but it's a movement.
They also work with the charity Food Bank to give free meals to people in need.
We rescue a lot of food that would have gone to landfill.
Before the Ywaste app, restaurants often struggled dealing with food waste.
It's really bad, normally, especially on Fridays, we can't use, because we close on weekends, so we can't use it after 3 days, so it's pretty, we have to throw it away, and that's when I found Ywaste. So it's a really good initiative, so we wanted to help people rather than throw away.
The food pantry at Addison Road Community Centre in Sydney's Inner West is also trying to combat food insecurity and food waste.
The food pantry, Magva, we help people overcome or basically deal with food insecurity by providing free or affordable groceries. By us working with manufacturers, getting their best before donations through the Good Samaritan and the Food Act, basically they can repurpose food which they technically wouldn't sell anymore, but then we can pass it on to families and those in need either free or at a really minimal cost, just so that people have access to fresh fruit, vegetables, groceries, all the basics you need. But unfortunately these days a lot of people struggle to sort of get out of the household budget.
When they first opened in 2016, they received 200 kilograms of food a month. Today, they receive around 2 tonnes.
It could be fruit that's been bashed around, or a packet that has a light dint in, but there's nothing wrong with it, still fit for human consumption. And then we bring it to the food pantry and we repurpose it.
The Sydney University Wastage Fighters Society was founded by agricultural student Sam Coggins at the end of 2016. They aim to reduce food wastage on campus and raise awareness about the importance of doing so.
We mainly host events to try and reach people that otherwise wouldn't know much about food waste or wouldn't otherwise be engaged in this issue.
For Maggie, a member of the society, conserving food has always been an important part of her life.
Mum would always say, every single grain of rice is being planted by a farmer, has been harvested, and all that effort has gone into making that food, and it's gone all the way into your bowl. So that's a lot of time and effort and energy and water. Treasure what you have.
Fixing food insecurity involves making ourselves more accountable by making small changes.
Consumers can address the issue of food waste by buying what they need and not falling prey to those 2-for-1 offers or big discounts on food that you often find. They can also buy produce that would usually be discarded. So these days supermarkets are much more alert to the fact that imperfect produce, if it's not bought and eaten, it will be discarded. So that's a real sad form of food waste, I think, because in reality, those fruit and vegetables, they're actually fine.
Oh, well, there's a million and one ways. Basically, on the home front, just plan what you're cooking, at home. Don't go over the top shopping. Do smaller shops intermittently, so more frequently. So you're actually, instead of buying the old thing, going to Coles or Woolies and doing your $200 whatever shop up, actually buy smaller portions and, plan out what you're cooking. Think of the leftover food, how the different items could be reused. At the end of the week, grab up all your fruit and veg, bung them in a pot and make a soup or a stock or something like that, save binning them. In turn, if you've got stuff that's fine, you can give them to food collection charities.
And another way that we can address food waste is really as a community, which is engaging in community composting systems and using networks of people who have gardens. For example, I live in an apartment, but I give my organic food waste to a neighbour who has a worm farm. And if you don't have access to those personal networks, think of the places in your community where they might use that food waste, that compost.
By 2030, the United Nations have vowed to halve food waste at retail and consumer levels. Australians are already taking initiatives.
But the problem's always been there, but now I feel it's the right time that the consumer base are ready to do something.
Now, a lot of technology available that converts food waste into alternative energy sources, so biofuels and things like that. So I think that we can look internationally and see a whole lot of ways that we can mitigate food waste that we haven't thought of yet here.